Hello everyone, my name is Prajakta Dhage. I am from Department of Zoology, KTHM College, Nashik. Today, I'll be taking a class for SYBSc Semester 4. The subject that we are dealing with is Animal Diversity 4. The chapter is Introduction to Class Reptilia, and the topics that we are going to see today are snake venom, symptoms, effect and cure of snake bite, first aid treatment of snake bite, and desert adaptations in the reptiles. So, let's begin. In the previous chapter, what we have learned is to identify the venomous and non-venomous snake. Okay, we have understood the key, we have seen the detailed key of how to identify a particular snake based on the scales that are present, based on many other things were there. So you have already seen that. Now let's move on to the main thing, which is referred to as the snake venom and the poison apparatus. Now, venomous snakes possess a poison apparatus that is in the head region. The apparatus is going to include a pair of poison glands, muscles, poison ducts, and fangs. On either inner side of the upper jaw, below and somewhat behind the eyes, two sac-like poison glands are present. So there is a pair of poison gland. Okay, they are supposed to be modified supralabial or parotid glands. Poison glands are small and oval in sea snakes and large and tubular in vipers. Ligaments hold the gland in position. Anterior end of the gland is attached to the anterior ligament, whereas posterior ligament runs in between the gland and the quadrate bone. While I am talking about various structures that are present, you can see or you can refer to the diagram over here. This particular diagram you can refer to. This is the poison apparatus. Okay, so here you have the muscles, constrictor muscles are there. Then you have a poison gland over here. The poison gland is connected to the poison duct, which is going to open into the fangs or carry the poison into the fangs. Okay, so each gland is enclosed in a fibrous connective tissue. It is most of the times covered by fan-shaped constrictor muscles called as temporal masseter. So these are called these constrictor muscles I am talking about. Stretching of the constrictor muscles causes venom to be squeezed out from the gland into the ducts. Now poison ducts. You can see here the poison ducts. This, please follow the pointer arrow. So this is the poison duct. From each poison gland arises a poison duct and reaches to the base of the poison fang and enters its groove or the canal. Now the next thing that we are going to see is the fangs. So the fangs are specialized teeth for injecting venom into the victim's body. They are long, curved, sharp and pointed and are attached to the maxillary bones. They serve as hypodermic needle for injection of venom. Damaged or lost functional fang is always replaced by one of the reserved fangs. Fangs are characterized into three types on the basis of their structure and position. So different kinds of snakes are going to possess these different kinds of fangs. So let's first talk about Selenoglyphus fangs. So now these are seen in vipers and rattlesnake. In front of each maxilla, a large functional fang arises. Base of these fangs is covered by a sheath containing few reserve and developing fangs. Selenoglyphus fangs are movable. When not in use, they are turned inside to lie close to the roof of the mouth. A hollow poison canal runs through the fang and open at its tip. This canal is lined with enamel. The next type of fang is Proteroglyphus fangs. They are seen in cobra, krait, coral snakes, and sea snakes. These fangs are small and lie in front of maxilla. They are permanently erect. Each fang is grooved at its anterior face. The last type of fangs that we are going to see is Ophistoglyphus fangs. They are present in snakes of family Colubridae. These type of fangs are small and lie at the back of maxillae and are grooved along its posterior border. So this was about the type of fangs. Let's move on towards the snake venom. Now, when we talk about a snake venom, it is a complex mixture of specific enzymes and toxins which is used in capturing and subduing the prey and also proves to be a good digestive fluid. It is sticky, tasteless, odorless, acidic liquid, faint yellowish or greenish in color. Venom is fatal only when it comes in contact with the blood. On swallowing, it can pass through the feces without any damage. But in case there is any wound or scratch in the mouth or alimentary canal, the venom gets the chance to come in contact with the blood and thus proves fatal. Dried venom can be stored for a very long time, with its lethal properties still maintained. It is equally fatal when dissolved in water, salt solution, or glycerine. Venom of most of the snake is the combination of both neurotoxins and hemotoxins. The neurotoxins are the one which are going to affect the nervous system, and hemotoxins are the one which are going to affect the tissues and also the blood cells or the RBCs. Okay, so some of the toxins are mentioned here. You can see endotheliotoxin or hemorrhagin. This damages the capillary endothelium and causes hemorrhages in different tissues. Thromboidenase causes intravascular clotting if entered directly into the vein during the bite. Lysocythine causes extensive local damage. Cardiotoxin severely affects the functioning of the heart. Now, there are some proteases present in the snake venom which cause local inflammation. They also cause necrosis and damage to the vascular epithelium. One of the toxins of venom also leads to the failure of peripheral circulation with fall in blood pressure by paralyzing the neuromuscular junction of the vasoconstrictor muscle. Hybridinases is a class of enzyme responsible for rapid absorption of venom. Viper venom generally affects the vascular system, whereas the venom of cobras affects the nervous system. So, this was all about the snake venom. Let's move on towards the next part, which is symptoms and effects of snake bite. Here you can see the images there. Here you can see the bite marks. Okay, when a cobra bites, the bite marks or the teeth marks are going to be like this. These two are the fangs. Okay, now bite mark of a krait is like this. This dark ones are of the fang. Okay, here if it is a viper bite, then you are going to have the bite marks like this, and if there is no fang seen, then the snake is a venomous snake. Now, the effects of the snake venom varies depending on the snake. Okay, which kind of species is there, which kind of snake is there. We have already seen the different kind of snakes are going to have venom that are going to be having different kind of components present in it. Some are going to be neurotoxins, some are going to be hemotoxins, some are going to be combination of both. Okay, so now So it depends on the type of the snake, the virulence of the venom, the amount of venom injected, and also on the circumstances under which the snake bites. In the same snake, degree of virulence may differ according to the circumstances. Okay, thus a person bitten may recover or die depending upon the above mentioned or earlier mentioned conditions. As I have already said that there are two types of venom, neurotoxic and hemotoxic. So when a neurotoxin causes death by paralysis of respiratory muscles and are particularly found in cobra, krait and sea snakes. Hemotoxins on the other hand are found in vipers, causing the tissue destructions and hemorrhage. The effects or the symptoms and effects of the bite from some of the snakes will be discussed, or I'll be discussing it. So the first snake that we are going to discuss is cobra. Now the venom of cobra is neurotoxin. The symptoms of cobra bite are a very strong pain and burning sensation will be there. It will end in numbness of a bitten part, which turns bluish or blackish. The bitten part is going to turn bluish or blackish. Person suffers from giddiness, weakness in legs, high pulse rate, speechlessness, drooping of saliva and eyelids, contraction of pupils is also seen, vomiting or nausea, and the person also faces a difficulty in breathing. The death results within few hours due to failure of respiration or due to failure of the heart activity. Now, the next snake is a krait. Large quantity of venom is injected when a krait bites. This amount is 3 times more than that injected by a cobra. Kraits are most commonly found and dangerous snakes because their bite injects a very large quantity. Krait bite are same like that of the cobra bite. Additionally, there are certain symptoms which are unbearable abdominal pain, which is basically due to internal hemorrhage. Then you have there is destruction of RBCs and paralysis of the trunk and limb occurs, followed by the death within 6 to 24 hours of the bite. Now the next snake that we are going to deal with is the viper. So the venom is hemotoxin affecting the circulatory and nervous system both. Symptoms include local swelling and discoloration of the bitten part with acute burning pain. A red fluid oozes out from the wound due to massive tissue destruction. Which generally requires amputation. So you have to amputate the wound or the bitten part. Pupils dilate, pulse rate is high, profuse vomiting occurs, and person loses consciousness. Death may result due to paralysis of vasomotor centers and excessive bleeding. Vasomotor centers are basically the part of the brain. Okay, now the cure of snake bite. Antivenom serum or antivenin is the best cure for snake bite. It is injected into the body of the bitten victim to counteract the snake venom. The type of antivenin differs with the type of toxin the venom contains. Antivenin is made by injecting a horse with gradually increasing doses of snake venom until the horse becomes fully immunized to any amount of venom injected. Later, the blood serum of horse is collected and preserved. The serum is antivenin that has enough antibodies to neutralize the effect of venom against which it is raised. Now let's see what kind of treatment or first aid treatment we can give to the victim. The emergency care has to be taken post snake bite. and before the proper complete medical treatment is started. So before you take the victim to the hospital, there are certain things that you need to follow on the snake bite. Okay, and thus so here are some of the things that you should do. The fear caused by snake bite may result in heart failure and death of the victim due to panic, even if the snake is non-venomous. Thus, first, reassuring and morally encouraging the patient becomes essential. Wound should be washed with a clean water. Application of potassium permanganate to the wound should be avoided. It is recommended that incision near the wound should be avoided as it may lead to a local infection. A ligature should be immediately tied on the bitten limb or by any suitable available materials such as handkerchief, piece of cloth, rubber tube, cord, or anything that is available. This delays the circulation of venom in the body. The trinket or the ligature should not be very tight and must be removed for few minutes at intervals. Venom can be sucked out by suction cap. Sucking of the venom by mouth should be strictly avoided. The bitten part should be cooled with ice to slow down blood circulation and spread of venom. Any circumstances causing excitement or exertion of the victim should be avoided. Now, avoid the use of alcoholic beverages. You can instead use hot milk, coffee, or tea. The victim should be shifted immediately to the hospital or a qualified doctor for treatment with an antivenin injection. Now, whatever I have described right now, this particular method is not applicable for viper bite. So this treatment should be avoided if it is a viper bite. Okay, make note of it. So now I'll show you the diagrammatic representation of this. So you should first gently wash the wound using clean water. Do not give cut or incision to the snake bite. Then you have to tie a ligature. Okay, this is the ligature that you're seeing here. Okay, this is the treatment, or this is the diagrammatical representation of the first aid treatment for hand if the snake has bitten to the hand, and this is the first aid treatment or diagrammatic representation of first aid treatment if the snake bite is on the leg. Okay, now moving on to the last part, which is desert adaptations in reptiles. Now, so the skin of the reptiles is going to be impervious. Okay, that is why what happens is it maintains the water inside the body. It is also going to prevent the loss or excessive loss of the water from the body. The presence of scales, scutes, shields and spines, these also help in prevention of the water loss. Now they have acquired nocturnal mode of life. Okay, so during the night time what happens, there is no sun. Okay, there is no large amount of heat. The amount of heat is reduced. Now this reduces excessive water loss that would generally occur at the higher temperatures of the day. Now many of the reptiles, you will find them living in burrows where the temperature is much less as compared to the outside temperatures. They have high metabolic so basically high metabolic rates are going to require large amount of water. Okay, so what happens is in desert reptiles the metabolic rates are going to be very low. Now in reptiles, excretion is in the form of uric acid pellets. Now this uric acid pellets required a very less amount of water for its excretion. That is why here also it is going to save the water. Now Uromastyx is an organism that has special type of cells called as water cells in the intestine that are capable of storing large quantities of water. in some of the reptiles, the skin is hygroscopic. It is going to absorb environmental moistures. Okay, so these were all about the desert adaptations in reptile. Now this was all about this particular chapter. This is the last chapter, this is the last lecture of this particular chapter, and thank you so much for listening.